All right, guys, we're going to get started, and let's just hope that I don't obliterate. I couldn't even say that. I picked a word that's hard to say. That I don't obliterate. Liberty Mutual. Liberty.
Liberty.
Go ahead. Just take it. I tell you what. Can I crawl into a hole and just come out of it again?
Take two.
Yeah, this may take three. All right, so I've already messed up, apologizing for totally crapping the introduction last week by crapping the introduction this week. So I'm going to take a deep breath and we're going to go again. Ready? Here we go. It's Tuesday. You know what that means. It's time for Ignition with the AEW Fan Hub podcast team. We've got a big show tonight. We're going to kind of have to speed this up tonight because there are a lot of stuff to talk about. Hopefully, we want to give the time that everything deserves, though. We're not going to rush through, but don't be mad at me if I say, hey, moving on in the middle of a sentence. Probably one of my sentences. Anyway, we've got a big week. We've got AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision, a 3-hour block Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Then we also have Fairway to Hell at 8 p.m. Saturday night. It's just a 1-hour show. I'm thinking, who's going to go to a 1-hour show? Maybe they have something else arranged, like a Ring of Honor tapings, some big matches, something to that effect. I don't know. But we'll see. But anyway, let's get on with the show. This is Kelson.
And this is Barry, but I don't see the graphics, so I'm just going to go ahead and plug the Discord chat anyways. If you're looking for some fun folks to chill around and chat wrestling Wednesday night during Dynamite, check out our Discord live chat. It's like sitting on the couch with your best friends chatting wrestling. There's my dog. She's coming up there. It's little Charlie girl. It is a way to experience wrestling like you've never... No, I'm kidding. It's fun. Come. We're good people. We keep it light and heavy. Well, light and heavy. But... See, Kelson, you screwed me up. I had a whole shtick, and the image came up. And everything. Anyway,
the show goes as Kelson goes, I guess.
Yeah, show goes as Kelson goes. Hey, it's fun. We're easygoing folks. We got a good crowd on there. It's a lot of fun. And if you don't have anybody to watch wrestling with in person, join us virtually on the big old comfy couch.
We're switching to a bit of good, sad news. Rebel received a humongous outpouring of support after revealing her terminal ALS diagnosis. I know, I'm pretty sure I can speak for everyone on here. She has our full support, prayers with her for, just, I don't know what to say about a disease like that, man. It's just...
The only thing you can really say is we love you, Rebel.
Yeah, that's really it.
It's tough. This is tough.
It's great. It was good to see how much support she had.
And by the way, this is Rollins. On this date back in 2021, the Pinnacle defeated the Inner Circle in the very first Blood and Guts match. Also, Julia Hart made her AEW Dynamite debut, and Blood and Guts has only gotten like 100 times more violent since this said match.
Hey guys, this is your girl Val. So related to Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston being released by WWE, Bailey posted this on Twitter related to Xavier. She said, "Thank you for everything. I've shared a locker room for you for the last 13 years and you were always there for us. Made us laugh, reminded us of our worth, and got us paid to have fun with our friends. 1 in a million." And I agree 100% with what she's saying.
Yeah, I also, before we go any further, I did want to give a shout out to Clown, who is a regular over at the Everything Pro Wrestling podcast. They're doing their Dynamite review tomorrow night, I guess. I don't know. And he also says positive thoughts to Rebel and Jeff Cannonball, who was also battling ALS. That's just horrible. And is it me, or does it seem like the people that are battling ALS are getting younger every day? It's something. I don't know. But look, let's move on with the show because that's all we can do. The first thing we're going to talk about kind of carrying on with what Bailey has said. New Day, the New Day, is it the New Day, or they just go by New Day?
Yes, I think you can use either one.
Okay, yes,
Yes, it is.
yes, it is. All right. But anyway, they were not released. And if rumors are true, well, reports are true, they were asked to take a pay cut, and they said no. They got their release. It was a mutual release. Fightful is reporting that it is not a clean termination. In other words, they still have to go through their 90-day clause. I don't want to call it, a non-compete, because it's really not, because they're still on the payroll. But
Just
I'll
a
just
90-day
call
working notice period.
Yeah, it's basically they gave their 90-day notice, but they're still getting paid until the end of it. But do you guys think that Kofi Kingston, by the way, his real name is Kofi, his last name is not Kingston, so he will be able to keep at least the Kofi moniker. But Xavier
Kofi
Woods,
Woods and Xavier Kingston.
yeah, Xavier Woods is probably
Sounds good to me.
Xavier Woods is probably going to go by Austin Creed.
Yeah,
Which
probably.
would mean if they came to AEW, we'd have Austin Gunn and Ace Austin and Austin Creed. They should just form a faction and take down the Don Callis family, or join the Don Callis family, whatever. But anyway, do you guys think that they're a good fit for AEW? What are your honest opinions on this? Not as, oh yeah, we get a big name, but do you really see them fitting in?
Yeah, I think they would fit in well. I think both are good workers, charismatic. In the tag team division, it's strong. Like there's a lot of great tag teams, a lot of good matches they could work. I mean, love to see them versus the Young Bucks, Lee, Schools, them and FTR. Um, the Guns, like you mentioned, the Dogs. Like there's so many good teams they could work with. I think they'd fit and work really well and be a nice new addition to the division.
Do you guys think that the New Day, I don't know what they'd be called. Obviously they're not going to be the New Day. They may not come together at the same time. One may come, neither may come. One may come first, another may come two months down the line. You never know what their personal plans are. But do you see them as remaining as a team?
Yeah, I would keep them as a team, but we did see back in 2019, Kofi got over as a singles competitor. So you do have that. I'd love to see them work with Swerve, because we know that they have a friendship. Swerve even talked about it in a press conference, I think after Dynasty, when he won the world championship. So you have that right there.
Yeah, by the way, on our chat, Clown came up with a name for them, a new name, A Better Tomorrow. Interesting. I like it.
I like that. Yeah, I like that too.
I just think they're better. Yeah.
It's different than I think it was Andrew Zarian made fun of the way WWE picks their wrestlers' names. It's like they throw a whole bunch of stuff in a hat and then they pull it out and they're like, oh, this and that. It's usually a state and a disease or something. I can't remember what they said. But
a state and a disease.
Yeah, it's like,
welcome to Maryland Chlamydia, the newest middleweight.
Exactly.
Okay. I was literally going to say Maryland Chlamydia.
I know. I can read your mind, Chris. That's why I said
was actually going to say Chlamydia, Idaho, but which is actually quite a pretty name. My sister's dog is named Chlamydia, so. But
very infectious.
Yeah.
Very infectious. I'm sure that dog is very infectious.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, that's just exactly what he just said.
I'm stealing your thunder, and I don't care.
So I really think that that the two are better together as a team. I don't want to see him with Swerve. I don't think that's a reality, but because Swerve needs to be by himself. But those two are great. I really want to know what's going on with Big E and if he's going to stay or whatever, because those three together would be marketability out the wazoo for AEW and everything they do. So
I think it's safe to assume that Big E is never going to wrestle again.
well, I don't want him to
Yeah.
wrestle, but I really do think he could be a manager or something.
Yeah, but he's got a cushy, thing going on at WWE right now. So he's getting
So they
paid,
asked him to,
unless they asked him to take a 50%. Yeah, 50% pay cut, exactly.
Yeah.
Valerie, I think you were going to say something. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was like very surprised that they got released. I thought they would be bound to WWE forever and ever and ever, but now they are released. I'm just excited. I really want them to see with the Young Bucks. We have been teased and teased over and over and over again, either on being the elite or when they were doing their video gaming stuff. I think AEW is where they're going. I'm thinking that they would be a good fit with Bobby Lashley and Sheldon and MVP and the Hurt Syndicate. I'm seeing them in the group.
I was thinking the same thing, and then I think it was MVP that came out and said something in an interview just this week. Just because wrestlers are black doesn't mean that they're going to be in the Hurt Syndicate. And he kind of took a little bit of offense to it, and I don't know if he meant that in a kafabi kind of way or not, but it does make sense. I mean, think about it. The only person they've ever had in their group was a big Hebrew.
Big Hebrew.
So by the way, in our chat, Clown says, keep them as a team, knock out the dream matches, then do whatever feels right. And that seems like a pretty good plan. Clown really does.
I'm thinking, especially since they're good comedy dudes, I'm just thinking about them in the conglomeration initially. To bring them in, you can have their dream matches as baby faces, and then to your point, when it's ready, you turn them, and that's what you actually run with from a storyline perspective going forward, whether they're in a group or just heels on their own. But I think you bring them in as baby faces and run through some dream matches first.
Oh yeah,
they're going to get cheered, so don't bring them in. Don't try to bring them in as heels.
Yeah, you look at Ricochet. You know he was going to get cheered when he came in. They brought him in as a face. They let him do his stuff, build up, and then when he turned heel, it just worked perfectly. And now he's one of the best heels on the roster.
These guys do comedy stuff perfectly in line with what the conglomeration does. I'm just imagining them doing bits with OC and stuff, and then you have them turn, cost Roddy or somebody, something or other, and then you're off to the races with them. But they're going to get cheered initially, and just let the fans cheer.
You know what I want? FTR versus Young Bucks versus Jet Speed versus New Day ladder match, all in.
Well, that could be fun. They'll be definitely available. Boy, oh boy. Somebody
Did you say available?
I said available. Liberty Mutual.
Liberty Bibbity.
By the way, in our chat, Marcus the Entertainer is here saying the best AEW radio show. He's our fan.
Hey, Super Steve chime in here, the newbie?
He's not new. He just haven't been here in a while.
Yeah, I just haven't been here for a while.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
By the way, Barry, I'm not saying have Swerve and the Young and New Day form a trio and put them in the trios division. You can leave Swerve in the singles division, but the three of them together as a faction or something, that would be must-see television. Because we know how good Swerve is. We've seen how good Kofi is. Xavier, I think, with the two of them, he can pick his game up. I think it would be awesome.
Marcus in the chat says he's listening to us on the road tonight. He further went on to say something pretty interesting. I would like to see Creed and Renee team back on some kind of weekly show.
Ooh.
So,
Also,
yeah.
don't text. How's he texting and driving at the same time? That's not safe.
Well, they do have this thing where you can press the button on your steering wheel.
Okay.
And
Just
talk.
want to make sure. Don't text and drive, kids. It's dangerous.
Yeah. Well, it's dangerous probably to drive and listen to us.
Yeah,
let's be real here.
Yeah, you can be distracted like Kelson.
Yeah, I do want to move on because
be distracted like Kelson.
Yes, Liberty Mutual. Liberty.
Emu, and Doug.
You'll need that insurance once you're done listening to the show.
Yeah,
right, let's hold off on free.
They are not a
here.
sponsor, by the way. These guys are just insane.
Okay, come on, let's move on. We the joke has gotten stale, kind of like Eddie Kingston's career.
Like bread.
Anyway, we're going to do something that we've really not done a lot of. We're going to get a little tribalistic here, I think. We may not be, but it is, in my opinion, and the opinion of many others, that TKO is kind of like obliterating professional wrestling. Their decisions that they've made with the blood money stuff, with the, just the 50% cuts or whatever cuts that their major cuts are asking their wrestlers to take, leading to releases and whatnot. Frankly, do you guys see what TKO is doing now hurting AEW in the long run? It's certainly hurting wrestlers.
No, I think it will help AEW in the long run because I think there's going to be fans that have been, WWE for their whole life, but have kind of looked at other places and might be getting kind of like, you know what, I really don't like what this company is doing. I'm getting less and less entertainment and they're cutting people even though they're recording record profits. Like how can you be record profits and telling your wrestlers, we need you to take a pay cut? Like, I'm sorry, if you're losing money, you can do that, but you can't do it when you're making record freaking profits. Like,
well, you can do it.
They're just coming. I mean, you can, but they're coming across 3D scum sucking buttholes.
Yeah, it's important to separate morals from corporatism, and many of us are frustrated with the moral aspect, which is valid, with the corporatist aspect, and those things are going to butt heads, which is why we get passionate as fans, because we feel and empathize for the performers when this happens. But they are a company that is focused entirely on profit, and it's a new era as a pro wrestling fan to have a promotion that is so hyper focused on that, to the detriment of the experience of fans and the performers, that I think it's going to be very strange to observe over the next few years. But I do think it's important people keep those separate from the morality play and the corporatist play, because they're not necessarily related. And I do think some of these decisions are difficult for them, but they still take the corporatist standpoint. It's like, it's a business. I have a number to hit from my executives. I have to hit it. And as somebody who has to lay people off, specifically just because they live in an expensive state or city, and I can get somebody for 40% less in another country that does about as good of a job, that's the type of decisions that I have to make on a regular basis as well. And it sucks. And it's not easy to do, but that's something we haven't really had to experience publicly in a professional wrestling organization before. And for fans, it's going to be new and uncomfortable to go through. Go ahead.
Let me break in here, because Clown said something in chat, and I want to say what he said, and I also want to get your reactions to this, everybody. So let me put up what he said in chat. He said, how can the head of TKO say he made 60 plus million, then say we can't pay you the agreed upon terms of your contract, you need to take a pay cut?
Because that's their target. I mean, that's what the target is for their budget. It's that simple. Again, take the moral thing. It doesn't have to be moral. They were given a number by the board. That's the number they have to hit. Period. That's how they do it.
But it's beyond the morality. I don't think it's a moral thing when you just flat out say everybody on our roster is expendable, because that's what they're basically saying.
Yeah, they are. So
I gotta say, the whole, take the morality argument out of it. Why? Why can you not be a good business and still be decent?
I'm not disagreeing with you, Chase. That's just their model. They don't.
Yeah,
that doesn't factor into the model.
Well, it's a crap model.
I mean,
well, I think
I'm not
we all
saying
can
morally
agree
it's
on
right.
that.
Can I just jump in just for 30
go ahead, Val.
seconds?
Go, Val.
The reason why I'm not watching WWE anymore is for, I'm sorry, sorry for the language, but for shitty storylines and things like that, very unpredictable, that is now becoming predictable. So who said that fans who were WWE, I've been watching WWE like I'm probably like 6-7 years old. And for the last 5 years, I started to watch less and less and less because I was getting bored by the storylines and all the things that happened backstage. So ever since TKO came in, I've never watched WrestleMania, the last 2 or 3. The Royal Rumble last year was very predictable with the winners, so I was like, I'm done. I'm really done. And I'm so glad that I don't watch WWE anymore because it sucks. I'm sorry. It sucks.
I want to cover something real quick, Kelson, that's kind of outside wrestling that I think plays into here, and we'll explain some of what we're seeing. And it starts with Ari Emanuel. So if you're not familiar with Ari Emanuel, he founded Endeavor. He initially cut his teeth working for CAA, Creative Artists Association, I think, or agency, which is a talent agency and a literary agency in Hollywood. He came up, actually, if you've seen the movie or the show Entourage, Ari Gold, I think is the character, is roughly based on Ari Emanuel. And what CAA did, they're referred to somewhat as the evil empire, and this is where he cut his teeth before breaking off to form his own talent agency. Their model is much of what we're going to see from WWE. In Hollywood, there is a constant stream of people that want to come in to be writers, actors, directors, right? You're never going to run out of new talent. So their model is they'll sign people, a hot script or a great read or a young actor or some director out of film school who's got an indie film that makes it big. They'll sign them. And they basically get 6 months to 2 years to do something. And if they don't, they just ghost them and they cut them. And their model is they hope they'll bring in a new crop of people constantly. They hope they get a whale that they can land. And then that's who they'll ride and make all their money off of, and who that actor, that writer, or that director, or whoever, all of the content, the IP they produce, they get a cut of all of that. In addition to that, CA and other talent agencies use something called packaging, where they'll say, okay, yeah, you can hire this actor, but you also have to hire these other actors. You have to agree to bring on this director for this other side project. And they package all of this stuff together, and then they get fees off of that as well. A lot of times the talent doesn't even know that's going on, and there may be a deal that they think is close that blows up because their agent's trying to do a package deal on something else. It doesn't go, and so they tell the writer or director, whoever, oh, that didn't work out. I have friends who used to be with CAA and they left specifically because the stuff that they were working on took a couple years to get going, wasn't fast enough for CAA. They cut them. They went to a smaller boutique agency. Within 6 months, the stuff they were working, they got off to the races and they made their stuff. That's what you're seeing in WWE. That's the model they're going to start following. It's going to be the release and sign model and promotion model we've seen from NXT every year, much more aggressive. If you're not cutting it on the main roster, they're going to try to negotiate you down from what they initially signed you at because they don't perceive your value. If you don't like it, they'll let you go because they believe in their model. They're going to bring somebody else in and they're going to get a whale out of each class. They're going to get a John Cena, a Rock, whoever, Stone Cold. They only need one of those and they can milk that person for 10 to 15 years. from each class, and eventually that'll build, and that's the model they're going to continue to follow, and that's what I see happening with the WWE
Yeah,
roster as well.
but Barry, would you agree that if you take a whale out of the ocean, they're no longer a whale? That's the problem that you're running into with WWE, in my opinion, is because let me talk. If you take a wrestler out of a wrestling ring, they're no longer a wrestler.
Sure.
When you
so you ride them as much as you can, and then cut them.
There was a meme that went around earlier, I think in the middle of last week, where WWE is no longer World Wrestling Entertainment. It's just World Entertainment. I mean, there's no wrestling involved in it anymore. I mean, it
might as well just be called WPE, World Promo Entertainment. That's basically what it is now.
To your point on the whale thing, Kelson, though, but they view this as taking Roman Reigns into film. They view Jade Cargill into film and TV. Like, that's Endeavor, and the TKO umbrella has their fingers in entertainment. Like, you're not far off. So yeah.
They're not looking for wrestlers.
I did a meme to answer that meme. I put WWE and AEW side by side. AEW said, AEW, where to best wrestle. WWE, we'll be right back.
They're not looking for wrestlers they can turn into entertainers. They're looking for entertainers they can turn into wrestlers.
In some instances.
Yeah.
Yeah. They pull from a lot of different vectors. Go ahead, MK. It's not, though. They're shuffling out the old. They believe in their farm system so deeply that this is the model they're pivoting to now. So all of the older folks, if I am a woman on that roster over the age of 35 and I'm not on TV on a regular basis, and sometimes even if I am, I would be concerned. If I'm a man over the age of 40 and I'm not on TV, or close to 40 on TV on a regular basis, I would be nervous. That's the model they're going to follow. There will be a constant stream of people they can pull from college, from CrossFit, from whatever they think they can put through their camp and convert into a performer. So most will fail. They only need the one or two big ones to succeed out of each class, and that's what they're going to keep cycling through.
Marcus the Entertainer in our chat said WWE is part of an umbrella with TKO and Endeavor now. Some WWE profits go to debts of other enterprises in this umbrella, which is the truth. And I mean, that's no secret. And Marcus, I just got to ask you, were you swerving all over the road when you were typing that? Or did you pull over? Yeah, look, with TKO, WWE fans are not happy with TKO. There's a lack of trust there. I mean, I see it all the time. I see people commenting about it all the time. They don't know what to make of TKO. The fact of the matter is that it's just I gotta mute whoever is unmuted, making a ton of noise. But anyway, it's just there's a lot of uncertainty. Are your favorite wrestlers or performers or talents still going to be in WWE 2 weeks from now? What's going on? It's kind of a tough time. The good news is that there is an AEW, and there is a Stardom, and there is a TJPW, and there is a New Japan, and MLW is doing really well with their signings. So, I mean, there are options for these talents. They may not make as much as they would have made Marcus says that he's a passenger in the car. So, yeah, well, that makes sense. You should have said that to begin with. Jeez. But my point is that you're not going to make as much money as you probably would have in WWE or AEW, but you may make as much money as you would have in WWE after they ask you to cut your salary.
I think Backlash will be okay this weekend, but there's not that one match that I'm like, oh my God, I have to see that.
Yeah. Well, look, let's move on because we could go in circles on that. I kind of want to talk about some AEW stuff, the dub.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about MJF because he just lost the other night. Kevin Knight didn't win the TNT championship, but he's still saying that it doesn't matter. He's going after the AEW World Championship. how does it get to that point other than, the only thing I could think of is winning the Owen Hart tournament, which means that MJF is going to have to actually wrestle some matches like on a weekly basis.
I think the match happens at Double or Nothing, and Darby said he had the perfect thing for Max to put on the line. I would be surprised if it isn't, if I'll give you the match, but if you lose, you can never challenge for the title again.
I hope that's not it, because that's been overdone now. That
like what they did with Hangman.
Yeah,
but
exactly. It's been overdone.
Which Max mentions every single freaking chance he gets. So that's exactly why Darby will say that's what he has to agree to.
Right.
He's gonna get done to him what he did to Hangman.
I honestly don't think so. If anything, he would say, "Hey, I'll give you the match, but if I win, Hangman can challenge for the world championship again."
I was going to say the same thing.
But what I think it's going to be is if Darby wins, he gets the lead role at Happy Gilmore 2, Son of Happy.
It would be Happy Gilmore 3.
3. Well, yeah, Happy Gilmore 3, Son of Happy, Extreme Happy. Yeah.
Darby
I do have to say this and the Will Ospreay story, I think, are not just the two best stories in AEW, but the two best stories across wrestling right now.
Okay, we'll be getting into the Will Ospreay bit in just a little bit.
I know, but I'm just saying this and the Will Ospreay story, I just find them both extremely interesting. We think they're going to go one way and then they don't. I thought Max was going to win the TNT championship and he was going to put that on the line to get Darby to give him the rematch, but that obviously didn't happen.
Rollins,
I don't know.
Rollins, let me interrupt you because we're getting a lot of echo from you.
Yeah.
Everything that's said is coming right back at us. Yeah, and Super Steve, you're going to have to mute when you're not talking because there's a lot of static coming out of your end. Let's look at the chat real quick. Let's see what Clown had to say about this. He said, "So was I." He said, "Darby just has to say, I want to fight the best. So if you want a shot, you got to let Hangman challenge for the title once again. That way, win or lose, Hangman is free of the stipulation." Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of. If Darby does go with them head to head with MJF again, it's going to be that.
Yeah, I think that's a waste of that stip. Yeah, MJF has to offer to let that go to get Hangman to do something. I don't think a third party should be the person to get rid of that stipulation. I think that's something they need to keep in their pocket for a bit.
And especially, why would Darby do that? It's not like him and Hangman are the best of friends or anything like that. Maybe if it was a Kenny Omega or, even Swerve just for selfish reasons. But Darby has no reason to do that, but he does have a reason to want Max to never be able to challenge for the title again.
But now, if you remember back when this stipulation went into effect, and we were talking about how does MJF and Hangman, how does Hangman get out of this stipulation? I stated at that time is that MJF is going to need help. He may go to Hangman and say, "Hey, if you help me get the title back, I'll lift that stipulation."
Gotta be, man.
Yeah, but the stipulation was a verbal one. It was never written in a contract.
Right, it's a gentleman's agreement. That's why MJF's got to be the one to release him from it.
Yeah, and there's no better gentleman than MJF.
Yeah, man of his word, right?
Yeah.
Salt of the earth.
Salt of the earth.
Real.
What I will say, though, Chris, is it was Darby that helped Hangman in that Texas death match at All In Texas to beat Moxley.
Yeah, but that was more about Moxley than it was Hangman. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if that's what Darby does. And I also say that because I think MJF is winning the title back.
We've got Peter Tran in the chat, and he says, Hey, Christopher. I don't know if you're talking. Is Peter talking to Chris in the podcast team? Do you know Peter Tran, Chris?
I don't believe so, but maybe.
Okay, maybe somebody else in the chat is named Christopher. But anyway, welcome, Peter, and we are going to move on because we've still got a ton to talk about.
You know
And
what? I probably do. Yeah. I think I know.
okay, but
Sorry.
this one is a pretty interesting topic to me because Willow Nightingale, comeback killer. I have a graphic up with 5 women. If you're not watching on YouTube and are listening to this on the podcast channels, Britt Baker, Nyla Rose, who just became the AEW Tag Team Championship with Nightshade, I believe it was, Mercedes Moné, Riho, and Ruby Soho. 3 of these women have been AEW World Women's Champions. Of course, Mercedes Moné has been the TBS champion, the longest running TBS champion, and the greatest TBS champion of all time. And Ruby Soho, well, she's just here because she's never won a belt before. But somebody's got to take down Willow Nightingale, and it's pretty assured that it's going to be somebody that's on a comeback, wouldn't you think? So, do you think it's one of these 7 women, or do you think it's somebody else that's not in this photo?
Well, my pick, I'm sorry, I know people won't be okay with it, but my pick is Mercedes because I'm a huge Mercedes fan. But if I don't pick her, I would pick Ruby. I would pick Ruby 100%. I want her back in AEW.
Okay, fair enough. And I have no problem with Mercedes either. Anybody else?
I agree with Valerie there. I think I like Ruby as the one to be the one to kind of stop the comeback killer and win that title and get herself a big moment. Like you said, all of these other women have had big moments. Not that, just because they have, they don't deserve it again. But I think Mercedes is going to focus on the world title when she comes back. Riho, I love, but she's gone and then back and gone and back so much. I don't know if they have faith in her to be a champion. Um, Britt Baker, I think she's doing very well in her dentistry job, and keep at it.
Yeah, so that was bad.
I was trying to say something nice.
No, you weren't.
Yes, I was. Kind of.
Yeah. Anybody else with any comments about this before we move on? Steve?
Do you guys think that, like, because I look at Mercedes as the easy pick, and I'm wondering if some of that is because they're trying to kind of establish Mercedes and Willow as one of those longer term feuds. So we've got Swerve and Hanger, MJF Darby with their history. On the women's side, there isn't really anybody that's got that long term feud you can heat up at any time. Do you think there's a chance that's kind of what they're going for?
I don't know. One other thing that I can say is that we still have not heard anything about what is ailing Toni Storm. Which
I was going to say Toni Storm.
I mean, even though they say it's been reported that Toni Storm's not going to be back in 2026, we've seen alternate versions of Toni Storm recently. So maybe she is coming back and maybe this is where she's going. I don't see Mercedes because she's already been the TBS champion. Why would she go after that again? She's got to go after Tekla.
What if it's just revenge?
Don't win the TBS. I believe that would make her the first ever Triple Crown champion in the women's division.
How do you figure? She's only got one championship in AEW.
Oh,
so
crap. Why did I think they won the tag titles?
Because you're not thinking.
I wanted them to win so much. I guess I made it up in my mind.
You convinced yourself. I do that all the time. I look in the mirror and I totally, lose that whole Brad Pitt aura that I thought I had before looking in the mirror. But let's move. I do want to move on quickly because, again, we have a lot to get into. I think we've said what needed to be said. Shane's not here, but Chris, explain to us what happened with the United Empire in New Japan. I know that Andrade El Idolo won the IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship, and the United Empire, which included Will Ospreay, also won a belt. Care to explain?
Yes, Andrade at night one of Wrestling Dantaku defeated Yotasugi in a fantastic match for the IWGP Global Heavyweight title. And
Right.
then night
Which
two,
is what I just said.
right. And then night two, Will Ospreay, Great Khan, and Hanare won the never openweight six-man tag titles. And Callum Newman retained the IWGP
Okay,
heavyweight
we're
title.
not going to go into all the NJPW stuff because
You asked for United You asked about United Empire.
In relation to Will Ospreay, I don't care about anything else. I'm sorry, but NJPW bores me to tears, and I don't feel like falling asleep in the middle of a podcast.
That was a very interesting deal at the end. After Callum Newman's match, he was going to attack Shingo Takagi, who he had just defeated, and Ospreay like, no. And Callum basically was like, this is who we are. Like, you need to remember that. And Ospreay was a little reluctant, but he did blast him with the hidden blade and knocked him the F out.
You know, one of the things that I find interesting, Chris, about this whole thing is Andrade's win over Yoda Suji. I did it again. Liberty mutual. But because Yoda was Suji was the one that was really coming down hard on AEW, saying, I don't like AEW, I don't like our relationship, meaning New Japan's relationship with AEW. So this is definitely something to me that's setting up a match at Forbidden Door, which makes sense because it's an IWGP title, so there is a chance that Andrade will lose it at Forbidden Door if Andrade was fighting Yota Tsuji for the TNT title. There's no way in hell Tsuji would win it, So
originally this match was going to be Gabe Kidd versus Yota Tsuji, which added a whole nother layer because Gabe Kidd, before coming to AEW, was all about New Japan. Like, I mean, he's a dojo guy. Like, he was New Japan. And then the moment, I don't know if maybe he felt like they didn't offer him enough money or AEW offered him more or whatever, he was just like, F New Japan, F Tanahashi,
right.
F this, I'm all in with AEW.
Okay.
And I think the same result would have happened. Yeah, this is definitely built up in a big way for Forbidden Door.
Now, with United Empire, is there a power struggle for leadership in United Empire right now?
It's interesting. Like, United Empire, they have that great respect for Will Ospreay because, he started it. He brought back Great Khan from his excursion. He really gave Hanare a new lease on life. But when he left, they were a little directionless. And Callum Newman has stepped up and brought them back to what they were, because Ospreay was not always the happy, smiling babyface we think of. He was an assassin. He was a villain.
I knew that. Yeah, I mean, he was a babyface. I think when he first came into AEW, but quickly turned into a heel. For quite a while. Don Callis family and all that stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with United Empire and AEW, because like I said, I really don't care what United Empire does in New Japan because I can't watch New Japan. It's like watching paint dry to me. The match
It
is
feels like
horrible.
this is a good two-pronged story. Like they're doing it from two different perspectives. In AEW with Will Ospreay, it's more of the mental aspect, whereas in New Japan, it seems like they're doing the in-ring stuff. And I kind of like how they're gonna, I guess, weave the story together and
Yeah, and
put. Go
that was a
ahead.
lot of fun. I was going to say that was a lot of fun with the six-man tag title match. You know, him working with Great Okan and Hinare, like they were definitely more vicious than he wanted to be, and had to be like, "Hey, this is how we do things. Remember." Like it was an interesting part of that match. It all adds to the Osprey story for sure. There's definitely a lot there, and I think Forbidden Door will be very interesting with that kind of as a big focus.
How how much of this is Will being influenced by two different voices on his shoulders to be more intense? Because Moxley's kind of trying to get to him in the same way that United Empire might be.
Well, and
So,
one thing,
is,
but when he was telling him, when Callum Newman was telling Osprey to hit Shingo Takagi, Osprey turned away. Callum grabbed him and go on, Death Rider.
yeah,
The
Yeah,
other thing we have to think about, though, Chris, is if you remember on last week's episode of Dynamite, Samoa Joe called out Will Ospreay because he was saying like, "We helped you get to the point where you are," and so there's that aspect too. Where's
Bro,
that whole thing gonna go?
there's so many elements of the story with Osprey that make it so interesting. Like you said, yeah, it's one of the best stories because it's not about, oh, is he good enough? It's a redemption arc that's not a redemption arc because it, it's just really interesting,
okay.
and I'm
Well,
looking forward to seeing more of it.
I want to go to the chat because we do have some comments in there. Peter says the War Dogs made Callum heal all the beating he got in the past. Uh, Conrad is he just so low. Conrad, are you going to, if you wouldn't mind answering in the chat, are you going to be doing your Dynamite review show tomorrow night after the 3-hour block? If you let me know. Shane is in the chat, says, "What's up, folks?" And he also said, "Sorry I missed this evening. Just woke up from a very much needed nap." Well, la-di-da. And Peter said, "Billy Death Rider." And then Shane also said, by the way, I was only joking with you, Shane, said, speaking of Samoa Joe, he's heard he's going to be making a retirement run sooner than later, which makes some sense. Seriously? Which makes sense. I mean, I think he did announce that he was going to be retiring sooner than later a few months ago. Wasn't that right? And then Marcus the God said, "This Will Ospreay angle makes Forbidden Door the most interesting it's ever been." That's not saying much. And and Shane said, "Kelson, I will break through that steel cage door." Yeah.
Just like RoboCop.
Yeah, just like RoboCop. Yes. Let's move on because we do need to talk about
we got to talk about
Dynamite.
Kenny.
We're going
Dynamite.
to talk about Dynamite. And I guess the first thing that we need to talk about Dynamite, Conrad hasn't answered me yet, but normally after a Dynamite, Conrad Cushman and Derek Shelton host the AEW Dynamite review show over on the Everything Pro Wrestling podcast that is at EPW Show on YouTube. It's a lot of fun. I don't know if they're planning on doing it tomorrow night. Maybe we'll get an answer by the time this podcast is over, but Conrad just kind of poked in and said hello, I think. But anyway, if they are doing it tomorrow night, it would be right after, like 10 minutes after the Dynamite Collision block goes off the air tomorrow night at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Then we would have normal next week with the 2-hour Dynamite, it would be right after that Dynamite. So there you go. It's a lot of fun. Go ahead and go over there and check them out. But let's move on to talking about Dynamite and a Dynamite preview, so to speak. Excuse me. And the first one match we're going to talk about is Darby versus Kevin Knight for the AEW World Championship. Does anybody see Darby Allin losing this title tomorrow night? I don't.
Hell no.
Yeah, I don't either.
See
But
it.
that match gonna be a banger.
Yeah, I've said this multiple times. Darby Allin title runs are simple. He wrestles every freaking week, has great matches, pulls off the victories until it comes pay-per-view time where he loses to a big heel. It's it's predictable, but not in a bad way at all because the matches are always so damn good.
You know, and I've lost interest too. Darby is not world championship material to me. And I just don't understand it. I mean, you've got a 185-pound guy out there being the big man in AEW, and it's again, like I said last week, it's reminding me way too much of the Orange Cassidy International thing where he defended 44 times. He had a match every week, and every match ended the same way practically. It was unbearably boring to me. I would rather see two mid-carders than a Darby Allin World Championship match every week. Now, if he was doing it once every 3 weeks or something like that, I wouldn't have as much of a problem with it. But he's doing it even twice a week. I just don't get it. I'm not enjoying it. I'm sorry, I'm not.
You definitely make a valid point, Kelson. I do understand where you're coming from. I'm personally enjoying this, not as much as I enjoyed what Orange Cassidy was doing. And I don't mean that as a troll. I just am that big of a fan of Orange Cassidy. I want to see him as AEW World Champion at some point. But in terms of this, I love that they're pushing Kevin Knight this much. I've become a huge fan of his. I think he will be AEW World Champion at some point. Not coming out of this match, though, but these two are going to put on a really good match.
Rollins, my concern is you're going to have Darby beating. He's not beating like jobbers, he's beating contenders. And Darby is beating all these contenders, which makes them invalid as contenders to me for until they go and beat other contenders themselves. So basically, it is what it is. Go on to the chat. Shane says, I'm with Kelson on this one. I don't hate Darby anymore, but I think he's going to run out of gas and drop soon. It's clear that Ospreay is going to be the guy. Conrad said, I like Darby's run, but it's not long for this world. Doesn't have to be. Conrad, again, are you doing the Dynamite review show after the 3-hour Dynamite tomorrow night? Peter says Darby is a fighting champion. Of course he is. My thing is that, to what Rollins says, I was every bit of a fan of Orange Cassidy when he was the international champion. By the end of his international championship reign, I didn't care and I think I even said this, I could go without seeing Orange Cassidy in a single match for 6 months.
That's where you and I are different, Kelson.
And I respect that, Rollins. That's just the way I feel. I mean, I was just burned out on Orange Cassidy because his run was so freaking unbelievable. It was just not, and when I say unbelievable, that it wasn't like, oh, that's unbelievable. That was it.
Conrad, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, Conrad did say that it's going to be a Thursday review this week instead of a Wednesday review. So there you go.
I don't think this ends up in a clean finish. I think last week's match between Kevin Knight and MJF set this up. I think we're going to see Kevin Knight with a legitimate shot to win it, and I think MJF's going to screw him. I disagree that winning over contenders makes them not contenders. I don't think that's applicable to anybody else. I don't know why that would be applicable if they lose to Darby. And Darby's title run was always intended as a short-term run. And he is not
How
losing
do
and
we
winning. Hang
how do
on,
we know
hang
this?
on. He is not losing in the way we don't yet, but I trust my instincts on this. I don't see him going on a 40 match winning streak. I think he loses this belt sooner rather than later. And he's not winning the same way that Orange Cassidy was winning. He is fighting these people to the death. And he's not necessarily winning in a fluke win. He's winning with multiple finishers to finish off large opponents and more athletic opponents. And I think the tell is that he won the title on fluke. He very much came into this title. And I'm on record as saying I think this was a mistake. I don't think this was the right thing to do, but I
Right, you
think
did say that.
they're doing it the right way. And to your point, Kelson, they have to end it sooner rather than later, or it will fall into the tired trope. If this is a short-term title reign and he drops it to somebody at Double or Nothing or shortly thereafter, I think that's fine. If Darby's not your flavor, I think that's okay too. And I understand it's going to be hard for people to enjoy these matches if they're not a fan of Darby or his style to begin with. That's totally valid.
No, it's not that
But anybody who
I'm not
thinks it's
afraid
going to
of
be like a
Darby.
6-month reign is, I mean, it's not. It's not. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Kelsey.
Well, here's the thing: is that and this is what Conrad in the chat asked the question. I'll put it up again. He said, "I think something to think about is what is your All-In main event? If Darby is still the champion at All-In, it's a massive fail. Massive fail.
He
Massive.
won't. I don't think we need to look at that. The ratings
The
aren't there
All-In
to
main
support
event.
him as a draw. Yeah, he's not
The
drawing
All-In main
tickets.
event.
He's not drawing ratings. This is a short-term thing because if they're going to do it, this is the period to do it, and they're doing it, and it's fine. And I think it'll be over, and it's not going to be a big issue for folks who don't like it. Go ahead, Chris.
The All-In main event is MJF Will Ospreay. That's why I'm saying MJF wins the title back at Double or Nothing. It makes sense, he Darby, whatever is put on the line is put on the line. F cheats to win, because that's just who he is. And then he goes on, and you have the not necessarily hometown, but the home country hero defeat the douchebag villain who is terrorizing the company again by being champion.
Well, let me ask you this, Chris. You said that the All-In main event's going to be Will Ospreay and MJF, which means that possibly it's going to be Will Ospreay or MJF taking the title off of Darby Allin, unless it changes twice before then, which is a possibility. But of the two, Chris, who would be your pick to take the title off of Darby Allin? Will
MJF,
Ospreay or MJF? Okay.
MJF, like I said, he's just winning it Double or Nothing. Like I think that's the way the story is going. Like Darby, was able to get one over on MJF. Then he has this title run where he defends week after week after week, and MJF comes back at Double or Nothing and is able to beat him like he's done almost every time they face off. Like Darby doesn't really have a great win-loss record against MJF. Like his his big win came as MJF was done and gloated when the ref had their back turned instead of taking advantage, which
Right.
Darby then did. So the story just makes sense for MJF to take the title back at Double or Nothing.
All right. Fair enough. Go ahead.
I think you're right, MK.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
in London.
There is a
I got some bad news for you, MK.
Yeah. And I just want to, before you go, Rollins, Shane just said that MJF picks it up. Ospreay snags it at All-In. Conrad said, "Love this pod." Thank you, Conrad. I appreciate that. Go ahead, Rollins. I'm sorry.
There is a rumor that AEW is going to be running a pay-per-view in July at the Bell Center in Montreal
Yes.
called Redemption, and I would imagine they're going to do that because one God is going to win the title, and maybe that's that's how you set up Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay for the title in Wembley.
You took the words out of my mouth, Rollins.
You're welcome, Val. You're welcome.
All right, well, look, I want to move on because we still have a couple of things to go over before we end the podcast, and we're kind of running long already. I want to move on to a pretty interesting match. Orange Cassidy against Dax Harwood. It's a double Jeopardy match. If Orange Cassidy beats Dax Harwood, the conglomeration gets a future AEW World Tag Team title match. However, if Dax Harwood defeats Orange Cassidy, that means that Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, FTR, and Tommaso Ciampa get a shot at the AEW World Trios Championship. So it's kind of it's not kind of it is a double Jeopardy match.
The fun step.
Yeah, it is. It's a cool little step on a match that otherwise may not have been as cool to watch. Let's face it, this adds something to the match. And it's not predictable.
No, it's not.
So what do you guys think? What do you think of the stipulation? And do you guys have any thoughts on who may win this match?
I was interested in this match. Sorry. I was interested in this match even without the stipulation. Orange Cassidy has always been one of my favorites, as I said earlier. And I like Dax Harwood as a singles wrestler.
I do too.
There was a period of time where I was saying he should get a bit of a singles run, maybe give him the TNT Championship, something like that. But nonetheless, I think the stipulation just adds to it. I like what you said, Kelson, about making it more unpredictable. It feels like Dax is going to win just because they're building to Double or Nothing and the big tag team match, so it makes more sense for Dax Harwood to win. But if they want Orange to win, I'm not going to be upset about that either.
Well said, Ken. By the way, Rollins in chat, Shane just said that Rollins and I are going to be friends forever. I love him. So you keep that romance going strong, okay?
I'm gonna go short and sweet, and I'm gonna pick Dak.
There's really no wrong answer here. I think that whoever wins this match, the resulting match is going to be fun.
Yeah, and Rollins summed it up pretty good. This would be a fun match without the stipulation, but the stipulation just makes it a little more unpredictable. I'm gonna say Dax wins it cheap.
All right, well, go ahead.
I like that they're just doing these more often, these types of steps. It's been nice on TV to have more significance to some of these matches. So I'm pleased to see them do this here, and I like they've been doing this more often.
Yeah, I agree.
I like that.
Can I piggyback off of something Chris said super quick?
Let Steve go first.
Okay, so I want Dax to win, and I want to see FTR, and they're going to team up with Tommaso for that trio. I'd like to see them as a team and see how well they do against the conglomeration.
All right, yeah, that's good. Rollins, go ahead, buddy.
So I just want to piggyback off of what Chris was saying. If Dax is going to win this match, I don't think it'll be clean, so I agree with you on that one. Just the way FTR have been presented as heels, it feels like a clean finish wouldn't make sense.
Okay, well, look, guys, I want to move on to talk about yet another match that's happening on the 3-hour AEW Dynamite, and we've actually got 2 more matches to talk about on the AEW Dynamite Collision block, but this one is also an eliminator match. Jon Moxley versus Muppet Jesus, Juice Robinson, for the chance for Juice Robinson to get a actual title shot at the AEW Continental Championship. This one could go either way too. What do you guys think?
Moxley.
My heart says Juice. My head says Moxley.
Yeah.
These two have had really good matches against each other in the past, so I'm looking forward to this one, regardless of the outcome.
Moxley is going to use this match to send a direct message to Will Ospreay, I think.
Yeah.
Where did Okada debut? Was that at Charleston?
Mexico.
For AEW? It wasn't. I thought it was Charleston.
It might have been.
It
I
was
Yeah.
have to look it
it
up.
was Atlanta.
You sure?
I think it was Atlanta.
Okay. All right. Well, if that's the case, never mind. I had an idea, but
Well, Shane
it's
just
fine.
had an idea. He said, Juice rules, said, dude, Juice rules, as Shane would say. But he also said, but I've got money on this possibility being a device to bring back Switchblade.
That's where I was going. That's why I
I hope
asked
Yes,
if
so.
please.
I hope so.
that's why I asked if that's where Okada debuted. I think he debuted in Charleston. I could be wrong, but I think he did. But I was thinking the
Thought it
same
was
thing.
Atlanta.
If there's a history of debuts or returns in Charleston, which they can't sell tickets to save their life in that market.
No,
I don't know why,
you said
but
so.
yeah, I would not be shocked if after post-match shenanigans leads to Switchblade
Yeah.
and the Guns versus Death Riders.
Charleston's going to be a
It
very
was
small
Duluth,
close-up crowd.
Georgia.
Duluth, okay.
Georgia.
Duluth, okay.
Okay. Well, let's move on because we do have a couple more things to talk about before we wrap it up for tonight. There's so many things. I want to talk about the women's match tomorrow night. This is a non-title match. This is basically a grudge match between Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander. And, these are two teams that don't have names. Very rare thing in the AEW women's division to have two teams facing each other that don't have names. So I'm going to give. I'm interested to hear what you would say for Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander, what their name should be. I do have a name for Mina Shirakawa and Harley Cameron because they're such good friends, and this is the only reason I'm saying this is because they are good friends. I'm going to name them bosom buddies.
I knew you were going there.
So, I had considered Boobs of Wrath, but I thought that was a little crass.
Boy.
And I didn't want to say that with Valerie here because I'm a respectable gentleman, but I said it anyway.
That's weird.
So it's about,
When has that ever been the case, Kelson?
About 16 minutes ago, I think I hit my sweet spot.
No, you don't have a filter. Come on.
But anyway, does anybody see? This is something that I really wanted to ask people because when I'm watching specifically Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander, everybody's saying Hikaru Shida is going to turn so fast. I don't think so now. I think Chris Statlander just stands there and you can practically see this steam coming out of her ears. She is just so over the top mad all the time. I think she's going to haul off and kill Hikaru Shida tomorrow night. Just literally try to kill her. I think that's what it's going to boil down to. I think that Hikaru Shida has just found her voice, and boy, has she found her voice.
Yeah,
she's doing fantastic.
Yeah, that accent kind of softens up real quick there when she gets heated, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think it was you that pointed out, Barry, how when not only Shida, but all the Japanese women, when they're speaking English, they're saying these sweet, kind things. And then when they revert to Japanese, they're vile as hell.
I think it was Chris. But like Shida, the last couple promos she's done, especially last week when she was heated and like her accent softened pretty heavily. Mina's is still thick, but I think Shida plays up her accent a little more when she needs to. And she was pretty good on the mic last week. I thought that backstage she was some of the best stuff she's done.
Well, Shida does speak very good English, but she still cannot say the word woman. And I love that she can't say the word because she says, I'm going to be the Women's World Champion again. And I can't help it. I think that is the most adorable thing ever. And I know she's doing that stuff on purpose. There's no way she can't say women.
Both her and Mina play up the accent. Okada does as well. Takeshi, I think his English is still pretty basic though, so his is. But yeah, all of them play up the accent a little more. And yeah, I mean, Japanese is a tonal language, so like when they are fired up, it comes through more because you put that emphasis on certain words and everything. I will always root for Mina Shirakawa. Mina Shirakawa. Like, get daisuki.
Yes. Whatever you
Just say yes.
whatever you just said
It's
was
good.
racist as hell. I'm just going to tell
No,
you
it
right
wasn't.
You made come on, you used that weird accent, you know.
I simply use Japanese. Like I said, it is a tonal language.
Yes, you have said that in the past as well, that it is a tonal language.
But yeah, Mina Shirakawa all the way. Boobs around.
Bosom buddies. Let's be adults here. No, I can't do that. I could never pull that off. Anyway, let's move on to Saturday night, Fairway to Heaven. There is a big match. Didn't and I apologize because I'm having a brain fart right now, but didn't Jungle Jack Perry and Mark Davis have a recent match already?
Yes,
like,
Dynasty.
Like two, maybe was it Dynasty?
Dynasty.
Was it 0 Hour?
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
That's right. Yeah, it was. I knew they had a recent match. I just couldn't place it. It was driving me crazy. Was Jack Perry the national champion in that match? I had
Yes.
0 Hour.
And it was a title match. But you know what? The match was really freaking good, and I can understand them. Play it back.
So do you think that this is a match where they're just trying to recapture that fire? Or, in the past when we've had rematches like this, the challengers won. Do you guys see Mark Davis winning this match?
I think so.
I don't think it's likely, but I wouldn't be shocked if he does. It's one of those where I'm about like 65% sure Jack Perry is going to win.
Jack is the national champion, not the TNT champion.
Yes. Well, yeah.
I agree with that. Davis needs a belt on him.
I did want to bring up something that Shane just said. He said, I'll be right back, folks. Got to take this call. It's TKO. They keep talking about contract restructuring, and I'm pretty sure I'm about to get a sweet raise.
Get it?
You should have been here earlier when we were talking about TKO, Shane. That's all I can say. I wish you would have hopped onto the pods for that segment. All right. Well, back to Jack and Mark Davis. Anybody else think that this title is going to change hands?
I think it's going to change. I really do.
I think it's going to change.
Oh, let me ask you specifically, why do you think it's going to change? Is there a reason? Is it just a heart or gut feeling, or is there something, other than that?
Well, I saw the match at Dynasty Live, and it was great. And I've seen the work that Mark Davis put in with everything that's happened to him and being paired up with Jake something, I think it was his name. And then
in TNA, it was Jake something.
And, with everything with Kyle being injured and everything that has been put towards him, and he stepped up. So I think he deserves a title. And he was a trios champion, right?
He was.
Yes, he was.
And it was not long. So I don't see why he shouldn't be champion again as a reward for all of this hard work.
Plus, it adds to everything with the Don Callis family.
Right.
Please don't mention Don.
Well, you just did.
Don Callis. That's all I will say.
I love him.
Peter in the chat says, I hope Davis wins. Perry is getting boring now. Shane in the chat says, it's a new day, baby. Yeah, he missed that part of the show too. Anyway, we're gonna wrap it up right there. Be sure to check with us next week on YouTube at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time, live, as this show is. If you can't make it with us live, you can find us on your favorite audio podcast platform, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and more. I don't even know where we're all distributed at, but that'll be up probably about 2 or 3 hours from now. Thank you for the people that came into the chat. Peter, Clown, Shane, and Marcus. Really appreciate you guys, and Conrad, of course. I really appreciate you guys coming in. Hope you see you again next week. And tell your friends. By the way, while you're here, hit that like. Well, nobody does this as good as Barry. Barry, what should people do?
I wasn't ready to. You got to smash that like button, hit that subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell so you're always told when we got new content coming out. I can't do
Hit
it.
that like and subscribe.
Hit that like and subscribe. It really helps out the algorithm.
Yeah, it really helps out the algorithm.
God.
Really, but in all honesty, it does. I personally have never seen the algorithm. I've looked for it. I don't see it. I think it's under my bed right now, but I don't like looking under there because
Monsters.
my cat pooped under it once, and I think she did it again.
Okay.
But
I
anyway,
just kind of left it there and hoped it just kind of went away.
it's just like a white stone now. But
Wow.
So if you're gonna smash something, smash the like button.
Yeah, smash the like button. They're right there.
Yeah.
Well, there goes me being mature right away. I just lost it right there.
So
Anyway.
it wasn't the early Liberty Bibberty stuff was the mature thing. Like this is where you were holding out
the
for.
Liberty Bibberty thing was me making fun of myself because tune in next Tuesday at 8:45 p.m. Eastern to see if Kelson falls over his tongue yet again during the intro to this podcast. I was doing I think I had done it perfectly like 100 times in a row at least. And for the last 2 weeks, I can't say anything.
Practice it
Have you tried?
perfectly, and then when it
Have you
comes
tried
time, you got the yips.
Have you tried rebooting? That can help.
Rebooting? I should try drinking.
Yeah, unplug and then count to 10
Start
and plug it back
drinking.
in, and then see if that fixes your.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I think. Good night, Eddie Kingston.
Yeah.
Good night, Kenny.
Good night, Orange Cassidy.
Good night, Eddie Kingston.
Good night, boobs of wrath.
Boobs of wrath. All right.
Oh yeah, there you go. Give a like for that.
Yes, give us a like and smash for that. Smash those boobs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Valerie, I am so sorry.
Hit the subscribe button with the Jews effect, courtesy of Chris Jericho.
There you go. Thank you for bringing it back reasonably, Rollins. Good night, everybody.
Peace.